grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's It's Time to Savor.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, along with my co-host, John Reed. Today, we are going to be talking to you, and I'm going to try this subject one more time, okay, guys? It's women shop talk while real men wait. Woo, boy, I got that. I feel good. If you're listening to us and you want to be a part of the conversation, please go ahead. Type your comment in the comment section, and we'll read your comment out loud on air, and then we'll comment on it. If you're listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to be a part of the conversation, you can text or call your comments into 678-613-5857. So right now, we're going to be addressing our men, but before we get started, I want to go ahead and introduce our guests in the studio today. We're going to start over here with Mr. Poetic. If you could tell us who you are and why you're affiliated with this production that we're talking about.
Thanks for having me. Poetic, Poetic, inspirational hip-hop artist. I'm here because I represent the men that do not get involved in domestic violence. And I think that it's important that we support those that, one, I think that men need to stop being quiet about it. If you know you have a friend that is abusive towards this woman, you need to check him. Mm-hmm. And if you know that a woman is going through something, I'm that guy that'll show up at the door and be like, hey, let's fix this. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's my role in it, me being an undercover police officer in here and have to hem up the guy that's the abusive guy in there.
Yeah.
Gave you all a little bit. That kind of defines who I really am.
I think that's awesome because, you know, we were saying before, a lot of men won't talk and they stay quiet and they don't get involved, and we're going to get more into that. And over here to my right, we have the young lady that brought all this together, Miss Carolyn Moore. I'm so excited that I've met you and that you had. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and your play.
Carolyn Moore is a writer, producer, director. I am a publisher. I'm an author, motivational speaker, CASA worker as well. And Women Shop Talk While Real Men Wait is my life story, survivor of domestic violence. I wanted to put a message out that there is life after abuse, and you don't have to stay in that relationship.
And I like that she said there is life after abuse. Do you know how many people go through this and they think they're alone?
Yes.
They have no way out of it.
That's right.
We're here to tell you that that's next phase in life. And I want to go ahead and give a definition of what I got of what domestic violence is. It says domestic violence is the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or other abusive behavior as part of a systematic pattern of power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner against another. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be an intimate partner. It could be someone from the outside as well. Mm-hmm. So, John, I know we talk to our men a lot, and we got things that we want to share with them. And I know you have some points that you want to talk about on our men's side. Right. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take the rein and start this conversation off.
So one of the things that I found and just in doing research about the show today was that, you know, 90 to 94% of the people who are affected by domestic violence are actually women. But what I was shocked at was like 10% are men. And so for me, the connotation is that always it's affecting women, right? Mm-hmm. And most of the murders are against intimate partners, but it also affects men who are affected by domestic violence, and they're afraid to even say that, right?
Right.
If you're a man and you're being abused by your wife or your girlfriend, who's going to really say that? I mean, right? It's not a good thing, right? It affects your manhood. But so, you know, and let me, you know, how real I am, right? And so one thing that happened to me was like, I'm sitting in a room in my ex-wife's house, and I'm with my girlfriend, and she's drinking. Next thing I know, wow, right beside my head.
Right.
That's domestic violence.
It is.
But I didn't put my hands on her, right? Now, if suppose I call the police, one thing that they would say, like, hey, you're a man, you know, take it.
Well, you know what? That law has changed now because somebody going to jail if they come out there And if you have been hit, she's going in. I mean, what I can say about the police, they have gotten more involved in that, because with your statistic, it says 1 in 4 men have been physically abused by an intimate partner. 1 in every 4 men. So it's open. And see, Poetic, you said something earlier in your introduction that you're that guy that's going to be out there to check your friends. Have you come into a situation like that before, or have you been?
Absolutely. So many. Oh, God, so many. I can remember one when I was with my first wife, and she was, one of her friends were going through a domestic situation, and the guy was intimidating her, talking about shooting her, talking about killing the kid if they did anything crazy. So I said, call him. She called him. I got on the phone. I said, hey, I said, what are these threats? He was like, what you mean? You don't need to get involved. And I said, listen, man. I said, basically, you don't need to touch her. You don't need to touch the child. And you don't need to threaten it again. If I hear about it again, I'm going to have to come and see you. What you mean? I said, that's it. I'm gone. Hung up the phone. She didn't have any more problems out of it. They like to feel, strong over somebody who they feel is weak.
Right.
And that led her to becoming a police officer, and she was, trying to fight back by showing that she was a strong woman, but that's not even necessary.
And it's something, and I want a lot of guys, he was able to handle that situation like that, but some of you guys take it to the extreme. If you know somebody's extremely violent, you want to get the law involved. You want to get some type of proof, right?
That's right.
To show whether you're a man or a female,
That's right.
you want to make sure you get proof to show that there is some violence going on. And I know a lot of you are scared, and I can only imagine. I mean, I've been in a situation where it wasn't physical abuse, it was more mental, and I ended up being the one that was, and I'm, like I said, I'm really real that I was the abuser at some time. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just, that's how I felt like I needed to be.
Right.
But Carolyn, I got this question for you.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you saw but you decided to ignore when you knew this thing wasn't right for you?
Right. When I walked in and I saw him sitting there and he was on the floor and he was crying, and this is the day after he choked me, he was sitting there crying. And I'm like, there's something wrong with this. It was a vicious cycle of sorrow for being angry, but there was something wrong with him. The signs were there. That's not a normal behavior.
Right.
And I ignored it.
So what led up, if you don't mind sharing, what led up to the part where, this man chokes you out, then the next day he's crying, and you're like, okay, was it like, okay, I'm sorry? Were you the one ended up apologizing, or what led to that whole?
It was, it was like when you were saying how you had, and somebody was saying they had to go and learn to be combative for themselves, to protect themselves. I think it was Shadid said that, and you don't have to do that. I went into the Navy because I wanted to learn how to fight and kill, protect me.
Wow.
This is not going to happen to me anymore. But then my attitude changed. I was like, I ain't scared of you anymore. I'm going to fight you back. And when my attitude changed with him, he became even more defensively angry, like, oh, you getting tough.
Oh, see, there's a lot of things that we do. Like you said, you call, you got someone in your corner. You were like, I'm going to the Navy. I'm going to do these combat classes. I'm going to take this dude out if he come at me again. There are so many things that you have to put into play because, like she said, it fueled his anger. It didn't back him up. It fueled him, made him even more dangerous. We're going to talk more about that and give you guys some more pointers on how to protect yourself and how to notice and recognize signs that you're in an abusive relationship. And men, if you're in one, don't be afraid to tell anybody because your life is just as important as theirs.
Yes.
Sensation Station Network.
You see, everyone should have one. I'm thinking about getting me an appointment.
Deliberate dumbing down.
Dumb down society.
Deliberate dumbing down of America.
Dumb down public. Why would they do this?
Sensation Station Network. Radio, not dumb down.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guides us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie sit down and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We are talking about domestic violence. We're also here with playwright Carolyn Moore, who wrote the play Women Shop Talk While Real Men Wait. Y'all know I have to do that slow because it's like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting it now, y'all. I think I'm something special. We have to slow it down. So what we were talking about is recognizing signs of domestic violence and making sure that you put yourself in a safe environment. Yes. Especially now, Carolyn, and I'm going to come back to you, Poetic, because I want to ask you some other things about with the men. But Carolyn, when he was your husband at the time, correct? What were some of the things that would set him off?
Threatening to leave him.
Ooh.
The number one thing. And even making the attempt to leave him. You're going to lose your life over that one.
Oh, wow. You know what? I can relate to that. I had a best friend of mine that we worked at Walt Disney World together, and we did everything under the sun to hide her. And at that time, the domestic violence laws weren't all that great. Long story short, her husband made do on his threats. I mean, he even told the kids, "I'm gonna kill your mama," and he did just that.
Jesus.
You know, and it's something that still sticks in my heart because I was the last person that she talked to on the phone, and then I had to be there to say, yes, that's her. You know, so a lot of us were affected by that were really close to her, and that was one of the things. But he would just get mad whatever she wore, whatever she did, it just set him off. Now, I know you said you ran into and you've come into contact, Poetic, with men who did. What are some of the things that set men off?
Yeah.
Why are they there?
A lot of men are insecure.
Okay.
And they don't want to admit that they're insecure. And a lot of times, God puts the person in your life that exposes your insecurities.
That's deep.
That is.
So when you're having constant contact with this person, your insecurities are being exposed. And you can either be a coward and try to suppress it. You can be a coward and try to suppress her. Or you can just not deal with it. A lot of men just don't deal with it. They're just quiet.
But, you know, I think, and the reason why I'm bringing this up for our fellas is because you don't get better if you stay quiet.
You don't get better if you stay quiet. That's the other side of it.
That's right.
If you address it, if you're humble and you allow that moment to say, you know what, you're right. I am wrong. This is something I need to change.
Right.
I need to stop being late to work.
That's right.
I need to stop being, because that's the thing, that you're checking them about something that they don't want you to check them about.
And then you got to be careful at how you check them too. But John, let me ask you this. So what Poetic is saying to me and what I understand is they have to be humble. But what if a man isn't humble? What if he isn't there? How would you like, if you know you got an insecurity, and this is actually for both of you, how would you like a woman to approach that with you or let you know, hey, I need you to kind of back up a little bit? How would you want them to approach you?
You know, the first thing off my top of my head is tone.
Yes.
Okay.
How you come across to someone,
That's
right?
That makes
so
sense.
I can either make it adversarial, right? Or it could be said in a manner that is approachable, right?
Right.
And if you feel intimidated, you know, it's not going to work. Or if you feel the aggressor, it's not going to work.
Right. Well, I agree.
If you're my woman and you're coming to me about something that I need to change, me changing will help us.
Right.
So you're going to say, babe, listen, to make us better,
Right.
let me help you work on this so we can have a better communication.
Right.
You know what I heard one time is that instead of accusing somebody,
There you go.
what you do is you say, well, this is how it makes me feel.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
So it's better if you explain it
Right.
and talk to it. And then, you know, you and I could kind of agree with this. And I always say this, and I said this on a show before, that you can't possibly fix someone that's broken if you're broken.
That's true.
So if you got two broken people in a relationship,
Oh, boy.
how do you work that out?
That's gonna be a mess.
That's going to be a mess. So you're going to have to go for outside help. But the key thing is recognizing you need help.
There you go.
So where do you go from there?
There you go.
You know, and I know with you, Carolyn, when you were going through this, where there's a time at your ex-husband that you tried to talk to him and say, hey, why are we at this point?
You know what was interesting is that I came to Georgia to get a divorce, and he was working for a major company, and he had gotten fired. I said, that's impossible. You can wire a building blindfolded. Well, I was working for the state, and I got my insurance and got him evaluated, and it came back that he was bipolar, attention deficit, and dyslexic. And I said, oh, my gosh, you have a problem. But there is healing. Take the medication, go to counseling, and you can live a good, normal, healthy life. He said, FUB, ain't nothing wrong with me. I ain't doing that. I said, thank you, Jesus. I'm out.
You know, but
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I was going to say that, you know, for a man and someone says you need to go to counseling or therapy, and in the black community,
Fighting words.
exactly, those are fighting words, right? Ain't nothing wrong with me.
Ain't nothing wrong with me.
There must be something wrong with you for you saying that, right?
But you know what? That is a problem within our community,
Yes,
period.
Yes.
Whether you're a man or a woman, that is a problem for anybody to admit to say, hey, I need
got a
help.
problem.
Because I knew when I was growing up, you didn't show emotion. I didn't show emotion because if I showed emotion, that was a sign of weakness. And I didn't want anybody to think I was weak on anything.
Oh, no.
You know, it could be toe up on the inside, but I'm running around here like, yeah, I got it together.
Absolutely.
You know, so it is. You're right.
Yeah.
When you said to him, "Hey, you need this help," he'd been going through this all his life, so he had no direction or nobody there to help him. So that's a problem. And we got to talk about how do we fix that within our community. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit deeper to our women because I want our women to understand we are the key to some of this nonsense that we have to turn it around. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's. It's time to say
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We're talking about domestic violence, and we have a caller on the line. And I want the caller to go ahead and state your name and then ask your question.
Hi, my name is Lene Cummings, and I just was going to make a comment.
Okay.
My comment is, I think as a society, especially in the black community, that we should become more vocal on both sides, men and women alike, to report these incidents of physical violence toward each other. Because I think if men began to report that and make that firm line that that's not acceptable, as well as hitting on females, we kind of have that broad statement. However, kind of gray when it comes to, hitting on men. And as a mother of 3 young men, unfortunately, it's really not taken in the same seriousness.
Right.
So I think that should be reported, and we should make a fine line that that's unacceptable for either gender.
You're exactly right, and I really, really appreciate you calling in and saying that, because that's the message we're trying to put out there. That it's not right to hit anybody. I don't care who you are. Nobody should be putting their hands on anybody.
Amen. Amen.
I agree. I just wanted to interject that because I think we've gotten better about, you understanding, the society understanding it's not acceptable. But unfortunately, I have a son. My older son is 32, and he's had incidences where the young lady has asked him, "Go ahead, I know you want." No matter what, don't put your hands on anyone.
Anybody, yeah.
He said, "Mom, I had to get out of there. She was
Exactly.
blocking the door, and she wanted me to hit her."
Yep.
So
911. That's what you have to do.
That never ends well.
Right. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate your call.
Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are talking about domestic violence, and now we're in our segment where we call Superwoman, where we talk to our ladies. And some of our ladies, and I hate to say this, but I don't know any other way to put it out there, but we can be the cause of some of this stuff, the aggressor. And then, like this young lady that just made the call, how her son had this girlfriend that was like, hit me. And in the doorway, come on, man. We got to do better.
Right.
But that's the sign of a broken woman.
That's right.
And that broken piece is because that's what she saw growing up. That's the behavior she was modeling. And, one of our listeners, Bobby Elise, Pastor Elise, he says they have they're opening up a foundation called Francis and Bobby Foundation to shine light on mental illness in our communities. And that's great. I'm glad that you're doing that. And I also want to give a shout out to Lakeisha Sherelle Richardson, Blanzia Range, and Lisa Baptiste for listening in. Thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in. But let's go back to Carolyn. We are talking about, I'm going to address our ladies. Because some of us, like you said, you stuck it out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, man, a lot of us don't understand why women stick it out.
Yeah.
But maybe if you could shed some light on, and I know there's a lot of love, or I think I can help him. I think I can be there.
Right.
What were some of the reasons why you stuck it out?
Well, you know what? When I realized that he didn't have anybody. I remember the day of our wedding, I'm sitting there in a wedding dress for an hour. He hasn't came. My mama went in there. I went in there. I said, "What is going on? Were you getting married or not?" He said, he was pacing. He was sweating. He was upset. He said, "F this," and he was calling me names. I said, "Ooh, we ain't getting married." And I walked out. And I'm walking to tell everybody it's canceled. He says he's got on his knees begging and pleading and crying. He says, "You can't leave me. Nobody loves me except for you." And then
so the signs were there early.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But then he revealed he was abused himself. Flesh was torn, nose been broken.
Okay.
He had been abused his whole entire childhood life.
We've had many shows, and we talk about the generational curses or what we've seen in our families, family history.
Yes.
And I'm shocked about these different subjects that we talk about, how the family history is learned behavior.
It is.
Right.
And it may be subconscious, but if that's all you've seen, it becomes ingrained.
That's right.
Right. And that's what I was saying earlier. If you're broken, you can't help someone else that's broken. All you're going to continue to do is keep that cycle going.
That's it.
And, and that's why I said you have to get in touch and in tune with yourself in order to move on.
That's right.
But this domestic violence thing is serious. And Poetic, you said something off the air that I would like for you to share on air, that we don't talk about this form of domestic violence that we women will throw on to our men.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, so the other form of domestic violence is when you're being threatened by the fear that your spouse or mate might commit suicide. They threaten that they're going to kill themselves so that they can control you.
Right.
So you're being abused to do whatever it is that they want you to do and manipulate it until they, and that obviously is a problem. Like, everybody don't have to say it out loud for us to know that it's a problem. When you were threatened to commit suicide just to get someone else to do what you want them to do.
Now, if we look at this and we think about it, all of us, we're talking about this, and Carolyn, you probably can shed some light on this, because we don't know what love is.
Yeah.
It's a matter of only thing that we know is manipulation and lies, and then our self-esteem is so low already.
We accept it.
We accept it.
That's right. That's right.
Because we want to be accepted.
Accepted. That's right.
That's dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
So I know a little bit about it, but I'd like you to share it with our listeners, for the women out there. What are some pointers or tips that you could give them to say, hey, this, or signs? If this is happening, you might want to back up a little bit or get some help. Yes. What are some things that you could tell our women out there, and even our men, pay attention, because this goes for you too, that you could tell them?
When you're not allowed to have friends.
Ooh, that's a big one.
I'm your only friend. You can't wear certain things. You can't do certain things. You can't talk to certain people.
Oh, man.
That's dangerous.
So,
what I do is control the other person.
That's right.
Right? And I don't even care about what their thoughts are. And so, that's abuse,
Oh, yeah.
Trying to control a human being, not your children, a human being to do what you want them to do.
What you want
but
them
you
to do.
You said something, they're your only friends, so that means they cut you off your family, everybody.
Exactly.
Wow.
My family didn't know anything. They weren't allowed to know anything. If you let anybody know anything, you've disrespected me.
So that motto that we say we go by here at Destiny Talk House, what happens in this house stays in this house. We're exposing the ugly truths of what's behind the closed doors.
Yes.
There's a lot of people going through that right now, men and women. And our women, we have to be better at how we communicate stuff that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
I know some would, try to hide it. You put the makeup on and you run around scared.
Mask.
Listen, I understand.
Yeah.
I do understand. Trust me, I do, because once they get you mental, that's worse than the physical, because physical goes away. Right. That goes away, but that mental stays in there.
You know what bothers me most is abuse has no economical standard. It has no race to it. Right. It doesn't matter. It happens to everybody.
Right.
And you know what? People are shocked. The churches.
Oh.
And
Girl,
my ex-husband was a minister.
Don't get me started.
They loved him so much that they excused his behavior.
Then we have a show.
We just had a conversation about that.
Yeah, we just had a conversation.
And we're going to get deep into that, and I try not to, bring a lot of religion into stuff, but I want people to know that we use certain avenues and mechanisms to hide nonsense that we really should be exposing.
Yes.
So when we come back, we got some more stuff for our ladies, because I want you to understand, to be able to check yourself.
Oh, boy.
I want you to be able to know who you are and what you're portraying out there and what people are reading from you.
That's right.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money. but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network. Radio to Atlanta.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, along with my co-host, John Reed. We have some awesome guests in the house, and we are talking about domestic violence. Before we get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to Tanya Merricks, Petrula Scott, Drew Gooding, and also to Sharon Gilbert for tuning in to us, because we really appreciate you joining in the conversation. Sharon says, oh my God, not allowed to have friends. Why are you wearing makeup? Who are you losing weight for? Been there, done that. And when I got the courage to leave and not return, I never looked back. I experienced more emotional abuse than physical, but it is still domestic abuse. And that is correct. Mental abuse is worse than any physical that could be put on you, because mental stays. It's longer and it takes longer to heal. Now we talk to our women, we talk to our men. Now we want to talk about how it affects your family. Now, a lot of you women and men there have, you have children that are in the home. The children experience this stuff, okay? So you guys got to tell me why you don't think that the kids are going to be affected by this nonsense that they see.
Right. And you know what, since we're speaking of family, I remember when I was married the first time, because remember, I'm honest about everything.
Right.
Hopefully my first ex-wife ain't listening, but I'm sure she'll find out. So when we were married for 20 years, and we had disagreements and arguments, but one thing we tried not to do was argue in front of the kids, right? Go behind a closed door, and not be yelling and screaming, because I didn't want my kids to hear that and think it's acceptable behavior. I had 2 boys and a daughter. I don't want my boys to be thinking like, hey, if I get a wife or a girlfriend, I can holler at her and scream at her, right? And so one of the things we purposely tried to do was not let them see it. But a lot of families don't do that, and that's how domestic abuse is then passed on, right? They see people arguing, they see them screaming and hollering, hitting, and then think, it traumatizes them. But
Right.
then they grow up doing the same thing.
They do. They repeat it. Now, what I also want to say is that when your children, if you have healthy conversations, arguments, okay? What I'm saying is, if you're sitting down and you're talking in a manner where you're not screaming, hitting, and trying to fight each other, it's okay for your kids to see you have a healthy discussion on trying to dissolve it. But if they see you with all the nonsense where you're running around screaming and hollering and swinging on each other, then that's a problem. That's a problem. And we got to be careful at how we, display ourselves with our children. And it's not okay. It isn't okay. We will, and our kids get this negative behavior and then they repeat it. You've got young students. I think we had a statistic not too long ago where they were talking about girls in high school as well as in middle school from the age of 13 to 18 have experienced some type of domestic violence from their boyfriends. You 13 through 17 years old. So how are you doing that? So when we come back, we're going to answer those questions. You guys stay tuned. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Great leaders aren't born, they're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby. Goo goo gaga. Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We could share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
And so a new American industry has been born. Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We were talking about how domestic violence not only affects the person that's involved, but it also affects your family members and your friends that are around, because we are all trying to help, trying to be there for you, but we really don't know what to do. And I want to give a quick fact out there to you guys, and then I want to get my panel here to kind of come in on it and tell me what was going on, what they think about this. So I read that 94% of murder-suicide victims are female, and it's at the result of domestic violence. That's pretty alarming. Yeah. And then it says 72% of all murder-suicides are perpetrated by intimate partners. Yep. So your piece where you're saying your ex-wife was saying, hey, I'm going to kill myself, that stuff is very real. Mm-hmm. It's very real. So you have the facts to back that up. That this is something we can't play with, guys. This is something we have to get on, stay on, and then expose. We got to expose it.
That's right.
And so, Carolyn, when you were talking, and I love the fact, and we're going to get more into your play, because I think it's just great that you took your life and put it out on a screenplay. Yeah. You're letting people know, hey, I went through this.
Oh, yeah.
And then I heard some of the details. I don't want to give you all the details, but there was something in there that you were talking about in the play where the abuse didn't just go to you,
right,
physically and mentally.
Children.
He carried that on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how you were able to keep it together.
It was tough. It was tough.
So what were some of the things that he decided, okay, I'm tired of beating up on you, now I'm going to go a step further?
When he knew that he was no longer affecting me, I know what does affect you, hurting your children. I know if I take your children, you're going to stay with me. You're going to fight to keep them. And I know it bothers you. And everybody knows that a mother loves their child. Mm-hmm. And they know that you love the child. You love the child more than you love them. When you hurt the child, you're hurting them. Mm-hmm. I know how to get at you.
Right. So, I hope you guys are listening to that, because that's deep. I mean, because some of us will.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us will be like, you know what, I'm going to take one for the team. I'm just going to go ahead because these are my kids. But what we don't realize, guys, is once that threat is made, That's your cue.
That's a wrap.
That's your cue. That's your cue to go out, get phone calls. You got to, we talked about on one of our shows creating a safety plan.
Yes.
You know, a safety,
net.
your safety net. So when stuff starts happening, you have that money stashed
That's
here,
right.
you have that person.
That's right.
And you got to do it secretly. And let me tell y'all something, you can't tell everybody about what you're doing.
No. One
Can't tell.
person should know
No,
your
just
moves.
One, just one. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little more about that. And I want to give a shout out to Ted Bear and Dwayne Baker for tuning in, and thank you guys for your continued support. And I want to make sure y'all understand this is something serious that we got to work on, folks. We got to break that stigma that cycle that we can't talk about it because we have to talk about
That's
it.
right.
It's not a can't, it's a have to.
Oh, yes.
You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Leaders aren't born, they're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. This is the part of the show where we get requests to send out prayer. But this week, I decided I wanted to do something a little different because there's so much stuff going on out there and so many people are being affected. I want to send a shout out and a prayer to those little girls that were affected by this man and the stuff that he was doing out in Detroit as well as in Alabama where they caught him. I want to give a prayer to those families, and I want you guys to keep them in your mind and your heart that these little girls get the help that they need. And also for the Indiana Colts player that was killed over the weekend, hit by a drunk driver. Him and his Uber driver were killed. I want to make sure that we send a shout out and a prayer to their families, knowing that we're here for them and that we feel and understand their loss and their pain. And guys, everybody that has been going through, that has lost a family member or a friend, whether it's domestic violence to illness to negligence, that it wasn't their own, or whatever it is, we want to let you know here at Destiny Talk Live that we are praying with you and asking God to give you peace and strength in everything that you do and you need.
Yes.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. If you are just joining us, we are talking about domestic violence. Our guest on the show today is Carolyn Moore and Poetic. We are talking about Women Shop Talk While Real Men Wait. That's the title. I was like, yeah, guys, I'm in it. Yeah. If you are listening and you want to join into the conversation, please type your comment in the comment section, and we will read it out on air and we'll discuss it. If you are listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to call in or text your comments, it's 678-613-5857. I want to give a big shout out to Russell Jackson for tuning in. I truly appreciate you tuning in to the show. Now, I'm going to ask Poetic this, and then John has a question for you, Carolyn.
All right.
And you were saying stuff when we were off air about what people don't realize is also a part of domestic violence, and it's a problem if they don't recognize it. I would like you to share that comment on air.
I just want to send a message out there to any young man or young lady that if you're having thoughts of suicide, that means you need some counseling.
Yes.
You need some professional help.
Yes.
You don't need to burden that on your partner,
No.
your family, anybody that's not a certified counselor
All right.
or social worker or psychologist or psychiatrist.
Right.
That's who you need to talk to.
That's right.
And he says certified. Your hairdresser is not certified.
Exactly.
That's a bartender. Hey, the bartender is not certified.
Let's be totally clear.
Yes, certified. Now, one of our listeners, Russell Jackson, said, I lost a close friend through domestic violence. I talked to her just about every day about her and her infant son to leave, but he told her if she left with his son, he will find her. Now his son has to grow up without his mom, and that is so sad because that, like I said, that happened to one of my friends. She has 3 kids that had to grow up without their mom, and they were very little. So I'm gonna let you ask Carolyn the question that you had.
So, when we were preparing for the show and she said Carolyn Moore is going to be on the show, I said, one question I want to ask is, how did you come up with the
name?
The name for the play? Women Shop Talk While Real Men Wait.
Yeah. He got it. Women, beauty shop gossip, while there's a real man out there waiting for you to let go and let God. You're caught up into what he say, she say, not into what God says. We choose what we want by what we see, but not who God has sent to us. If we sit back and wait for God to send us somebody, we have a lot less stress and problems of the lives of the choices that we make and the men that we choose.
Now, we have listeners, a lot of our listeners, some of them, they don't believe in the religious
Right,
aspect
right,
of things
right.
and don't believe that they could wait for God. But I want to put this to you. Whether you're religious or not, you're always given signs of what's good and what's bad.
Most definitely.
Okay, so if you have those signs that this person is a little off-centered, that's your indication that this isn't for you.
That's
but I
right.
guarantee you, if you step back and pay attention to the signs that are going on around you, then you will know
That's right.
what's for you and what's not for
Right,
you.
right.
So, on our show, we're all kind of like religious based, so we talk about what our faith is, but I want our viewers and our listeners out there to know that aren't religious based,
Right.
that these things can still work for you. You just have to step out of what we're putting in context
Exactly,
of God and put in
exactly.
whatever your context is of what you're thinking it is.
Right,
You know?
And I thought, when real men wait,
Yeah.
the good men like myself and Poetic, we wait on the good men. That was my interpretation.
You'll wait for her to get her hair done. This thing
I might
right
throw
here.
on some cheese, here you go, baby.
And you will wait.
Yeah.
So-
and Carolyn, what you don't know is she's been making me wait for the last year or so because I done went through some things. So.
Yeah, this thing right here, he's on time out. But one of our guests here, Sabir Muhammad, he says, good subject, one that must be dealt with at the root. Question, why are our 13-year-old experiencing these things? We must re-educate our community to correct the mindset that has plagued us for too long. Our silence is no longer acceptable. And you are absolutely correct. And that was my question before we went into the break. Why are our young children going through this in middle school, in high school?
Isn't that
First of all, at 13, why you got a boyfriend?
You
Okay, so I'm still old school.
I'm old school
and
too. My
we
kids
ain't
couldn't
work-
date till they were 16.
Listen, we ain't got time for that. And I know that there's some parents, I want them to express themselves. I'm with the old school parents. My parents used to tell her, you better not have nobody in your room because we didn't have doors.
Right.
That was their door. That was their room. And, yes, I understand that times have changed, but they haven't changed so much that we can't have family order.
That's right. That's right.
And there's a problem when your 13-year-old, whether it's a female or a male, is letting someone abuse them.
Oh, yeah.
There's a problem there.
There's a
Well,
major
you know, the bullying phenomenon.
Oh,
is,
yes,
is
it's
huge,
horrible.
right? In middle school,
Yes.
high school.
Yes.
And this is my own personal opinion. Some of that may be because they're seeing it at home.
Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
A lot
and then
of
they're
it
seeing
is.
it at home, and then they're coming in trying to control the kids at school.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And the thing I was going to say earlier is that we have to teach our kids how to fight fair.
Right.
That's one of the things I'm trying to work with the school board system in Tuskegee, where I'm from, is that implementing the debate teams back.
Right.
You have to learn how to debate.
Right.
And when back in the day when there was a fight, typically we said, "Would you live to fight another day?" Right? Because they fought fair.
Right. The thing for us was the baddest person hit the stick out my hand. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Or, you know, we walked around in a circle and pushed each other's shoulder like, get off me. We ain't finna do nothing.
Right,
You know, but now,
Shoot
we
up.
don't even do that now.
No, it's a
I'm going
gun.
to straight out shoot you
Yeah,
or I'm going to
yeah,
stab
yeah.
you.
They don't know how to.
Because it's
Disagree.
the culture that we are in.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's in now. I mean, I see a lot of these kids run up on their parents, and I have to pray. Because, Lord, you know how, when
You
your
just
parents
say,
would say, I wish you would. You know?
You can't run up on my dad now. He 80.
What?
He gonna,
Look, I tell people that now. My mother lives in Florida, and I still don't talk trash. You understand what I'm saying? Because she might get around that corner
Always.
too fast. You
Always
know.
gonna be your mama.
But I'm 50 years old, and I still, when you
How
walk
old are
in,
you?
listen, when I still walk in to that house,
That's right.
it's yes,
That's my
ma'am,
mom.
no, ma'am, yes,
That's
sir, no,
right.
sir.
That's
You know,
right.
there is no disrespect.
Hey, let me ask you this, Carolyn.
Yes,
This is
yes.
a question for you. Have you seen or heard where domestic violence is where the children are abusing their parents?
Isn't that a hot mess? Yes. The parents are afraid of their children today. That is a hot mess.
I think I saw a documentary where this lady, her 2 teenage kids were beating her up, and her husband was sitting there, and she's like, "You won't help me," and she was crying. Like,
That's
I don't know. I was
crazy.
like, girl,
Man, I
Shut
wish
the door. I wish a
I wish
child.
I would.
You know, wait, I brought you in this world. I take you
and
out.
that's something every last one of us has heard from our parents.
I
They
tell
don't
you.
hear that anymore. You know, and my kids grew up, I was very careful at, you gonna respect me.
That's right.
I mean, we get along great, but I'm your mama.
Always be your
I'm
mama.
gonna always be your mother.
That's right.
And I think what the problem is when we get into that whole domestic violence piece is we're teaching them young how to be angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're teaching them young how to be aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, even when we see these little videos where these 2 and 3 year olds are on there and they act like play fighting. And I seen one where a guy, he homeschools his kids. He did a whole video on it, documentary. He teaches them guns. I saw a little 6-year-old blindfold be able to take a gun out, load the clip, put it back in, and shoot.
That's a hot
And
mess.
within 5 minutes.
That's
Discretion.
crazy.
a child doesn't have the type of discretion that they need to be able to wield a deadly weapon. Because that's why we wait till they're 16 to teach them how to drive.
No, she was 6.
That's what I'm saying. So when a child, I have no problem with a child questioning me, because you need to have a good reason why you're questioning me.
And then talk to him.
And then I'm going to tell you that based upon the fact that you don't understand most of what's going on right now, I think that my opinion is more value than yours in this, and let's go with mine this time.
Right. Yeah, we got to be careful with that. One of our listeners said conflict resolution is a thing of the past. It needs to be reintroduced in schools and church and home. And you are so right, Sharon. It does. And when we come back, we're going to get deeper into that. And we're going to have some more tips about our men, our super women, and our family ties. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
How that we have your attention. Knock them down. Real?
Yeah, it was.
Radio. Knock them down.
You cannot let a fear of failure, or a fear of comparison, or a fear of judgment stop you from doing what you need.
Let's talk about destiny. Destiny Talk.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, along with my co-host, John Reed. We are talking about domestic violence, and we have our guests in the house. We have Carolyn Moore and Poetic. We're talking about the play that she wrote in reference to her life and her dealings with domestic violence. So right now, we're going to be talking more with our men. We're back on our men to give you some pointers to recognize when you know you need the help, or because you're the aggressor or you're the one being abused. So I'm going to come back to my fellas here. And John, I know you had some stuff that you were working on and talking about that you researched for our men.
Yeah. And so, we talk about control and controlling aspect, and most of the domestic violence cases are against women because men have that control issue. I found out that 55% of the women killed in the United States is based on a domestic violence situation.
Wow.
55% of all women killed is based on domestic violence. And then 3 women a day die. Every day, 3 women are dying in the United States. Now, and just think about this. This is a worldwide show, right? Domestic violence is great in Brazil, too. Countries like third world countries, South America. And it's a worldwide problem.
Right.
And so now the numbers are even greater.
I was getting ready to say, yeah. And it doesn't have any color barrier. No socioeconomic barrier.
None.
You could be the richest woman or richest man in the world and be
Doesn't
going
matter.
through some stuff. It doesn't matter. Now, my thing is, we talked about this off the air, and I'm going to bring it up because it's that elephant in the room, and I want to talk to my men about this. Okay, so we talked about earlier, and Carolyn, when we were mentioning that we have our ministers in the church that are sometimes the abusers, but we will cover it up. Now, a lot of the fellows or the pastors that are doing the abusing, whether it's domestic or whatever type of abuse, they have men around them in their corner that aren't blind and aren't dumb.
Right.
So my question to you is, why would we cover up that piece for the man? Why would we not want that man to be exposed?
A lot of men are followers and not leaders.
Right.
Okay.
And they care about what other people think. So they're not going to cause a controversy that's going to affect their situation.
Right.
That's why I never was the type to get into a sorority or fraternity or all of those group things. I'm not saying I'm against it. Please don't take it that way. But I'm just saying, for me, it's not for me.
Right.
And so that impression, like, oh, this is my brother right here, I can't say nothing to him.
Right.
That is enough to make a man to say, I'll just act like I don't see it.
And here's another problem too, and I'm put it out there. So a lot of these ministers or pastors, people look up to them and put them on a pedestal.
That's right.
Unfairly.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
And so what happens is, I'm serious. I know, like, for instance, a lot of women will look up to their pastor, and these pastors are cheating, right? Because these women are looking at them like that, right? But they're a man of God, right? And they're just abusing people, right? Abusing kids. The Catholic Church had what? All those.
Oh, yeah.
How many boys have been abused by those guys?
You lose count.
Because what happens is people put people on a pedestal,
right?
Unfairly,
yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And it gives them that control that we've been talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You get in that position. One of our listeners, Sharon Gilbert, says, "Now that's the thing I don't like. I brought you in this world. I'll take you out. Really? Are you really going to literally kill your child? Of course you're not. So when you say things like that to your child, they don't believe you. I never used that with my son. I told him things that I could do, and he knew that I could do, and he knew what I would do it, that I would do it and stick to it. Okay. So he learned not to try me. Morals, rules, boundaries have to be set between couples and families." And you're right. We do say those things. And again, that's just some of the stuff that our parents said to us, but we have to be better at how we display it and how we communicate that now, because like I said, times have changed.
Correct.
But when we come back, we're going to talk more to our men on finding ways, safety plans, and different things that you can do to better yourself and end domestic violence, whether you're the aggressor or you're the one being abused.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you gonna do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do.
Cannonball!
Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
It helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
and will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network. Never achieved before.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. If you're just joining us, we are talking about domestic violence, and our guest in the house today is Carolyn Moore, poetic, and we have Lisa Baptiste joining us right now, and I think you're the assistant director for the play.
Yes,
the
ma'am.
play is Women Shop Talk While Real Men Wait. So we're talking about how Carolyn changed her situation into a play.
Yes.
And it's been traveling around and
Yes,
doing some
yes,
good things.
yes.
And right now we're addressing our men. So, Lisa, I'm going to give you a tip that I got, or a stat that I got, and I want your opinion on this. It said 1 out of every 19 U.S. men have been stalked in their lifetime to the extent that they felt very fearful or believed that someone was close to them was going to harm or kill them.
Yes, that's deep, and it does happen with men as well. You have the women that have not been able to learn how to let go, or they had the man that really was a good man that they knew at some point that they didn't do right in the relationship, and they have moved on, and they're having a hard time dealing with it, and it's so many scenarios. So yes, men go through it just as much as the women, and it's sad.
So sometimes, the women, they want a good man. Sometimes when they get that good man, they take advantage of the fact that he's good, and they know, like you state, that he's not going to do it. He's not going to hit back, right? That's against his morals, his principles, how he was brought up. And then some. I'm not saying all, but listen, 10%, right? 1.9 out of 20. That's 10%. So it affects men also as well, more so women, I know.
But
affects
we
men as well.
can't say that one number is greater. I mean,
It ain't,
even though
right.
the statistics is greater, it's still the same thing.
Exactly.
Our men are still being exposed to the same type of nonsense. Now, this is just the ones who report it.
Right,
We're
exactly.
not talking about the ones who
Right.
don't report
Men
it.
won't
Right.
tell.
No, we
You
don't.
know, and you're right. And Carolyn had said something earlier in the show that her ex-husband was abused, right?
That's right.
So the abusers become the abused
Perpetrators.
become the abusers.
That's right.
You know, they become the perpetrators, and then a lot of our men,
Right.
we haven't grown up to know how to deal.
Right.
With
And you know
that.
what? And so we were talking about men. And so, one of the things that I had as a tip was, sometimes we'll let anger, or the domestic abuser will let anger build up in them, and then it comes out all of a sudden, and it's a burst.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens is, what you should do is just take a step back. If you start to make me mad or upset, let me take a deep breath,
Yeah.
Walk away.
and then walk away. And then come back and address the situation in a calm manner. We stated before, instead of pointing the finger and saying, you, say, this is how I feel.
Well, sometimes we need to look in the mirror and make sure that we're not the
Yeah.
cause, because
Right.
if some of us, if we keep finding ourselves in the same type of situation, there's a common
Something wrong.
denominator
wrong.
there.
And so,
right.
and so we're talking about domestic abuse, but also what you're saying is true. The common denominator, look in the mirror, seeing I had to learn after my first marriage, it's my tone of voice.
Right.
So my tone of voice was not conducive to having a civil conversation, right? And then, and it could be mental abuse as well. So what she told me was that, Jonathan, you didn't put your hands on my butt. What happened is you mentally abused me, but it's because of my tone of voice. And I didn't even realize it, right? And so then I had to make a conscious effort to get better by realizing what I say. Don't
And
yell,
it's not
don't
what you
scream.
say,
It's
it's how you say it.
Correct.
Now, one of our listeners, Sabir Muhammad, I just messed that up, didn't I? Says, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad once stated, for every no good woman out there, there is a no good man that made her that way out of so-called love. There is no such thing as a no good woman. So it is up to us men who know better to teach our young men the true meaning of life and legacy. If you know better, you'll do better. Each of us has a God-given talent as a child of God, that this is what should be taught to them by us and not what is seen on TV. And he's right about that. Too many times we put the TV in front of our children and leave them there. And then some of our, and I'm not blaming the industry and entertainment, the rappers or whatever like that, but when we start glorifying gang banging, beating people down, demeaning our women, having them half naked, and all these women and young girls that want to run around being video vixens and stuff like this. Sometimes when I said we bring a lot of issues to us that we don't need, it's because of the vibes that we're giving off. The tone, the way we talk to people, the way we push off, like our caller that said the young lady wouldn't let her son out of the room. Hit me, I know you want to hit me. I have a son, and I tell him all the time, you get yourself out of that situation, but you don't stand there and let anyone beat on you.
So, Carolyn, let me ask you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I apologize.
No, go ahead.
And I will say, that it does start within. It does start with you. And in any type of relationship, if you have those men or women that are raised in, abusive, parents that are abusive to them, and they grow into adulthood with seeing that, some of them try to come out of being what their parents are, but majority of them don't. It's like they don't have a choice in it, and then they get into someone else that has the same mentality, that common denominator. So in that, you have to reevaluate yourself, and it is not just the way that you come across, in communicating to to your significant other. That makes the difference. The healing, that's where the healing will come in.
So Carolyn, in your situation that you now put into the screenplay, stage play, did your abuser say afterwards, it's because I love you? Did he use love?
He never said he did it because he loved me. He did it because he didn't want to lose me. You're all I have.
So he was using that I'm going to be alone pity to you. So, a lot of times they don't say, like she said, they don't say I love you, but he was trying to say it in a roundabout way. That if you leave me, I'm going to be alone and I'm not going to have nobody.
I won't have nobody. And you're the only one that loves me. You're the only one that cares about me. You're the only one that understands me. I need you.
You know, so I always tell people, and we talked about this, and I'm going to ask you first, Lisa, for men, do you think it's important for our men and our women, especially our men, to learn about the person's past or the person before they get in that relationship?
I will say that is important. Because it will help you to be able to understand them better.
Their upbringing and
Yes,
where they
if
came
you know
from.
what their life was as a child growing up, what their parents were like, and then make a decision of whether you feel is someone that you can actually heal,
Correct.
you know, can help heal through that, and go through those things.
That's a good point.
All right, so remember I was telling you about the lady that smacked me upside the face, right?
Right.
And you look back and you see signs. She told me that she went to anger management for 3 years.
Jeez, that's pretty serious.
But I'm thinking that, okay, then she's over those issues, right?
Well, here's my thing, guys. You can never save anybody that doesn't have the right mindset to save themselves.
That's right.
Okay, so that's the first thing you got to keep in mind. You can't save anybody.
No,
you can't, because they got to save themselves. But what I want you guys is to listen to what we're doing, and when we come back and talk to our super women, I'm going to give you guys some safety plan tips of what you need to do and what you need to have in place to help you. And guys, this is just for you as well, so don't think it's just for our ladies.
That's right.
You guys are listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Sensation Station Network.
Wow, okay. It's like you got your beef and your biscuit stuck down there. It's going to be okay. I've been through it too.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch. Or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie. But Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special. Sit down and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to Academy of Creative Coaching.
Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a
plane! Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. For those of you that are just joining us, we're talking about domestic violence. Our guest in the house is Carolyn Moore, and we have joining us Lisa Baptiste, and we're talking about women shop talk while real men wait. I'm getting better at that. Before the show is over with, I'm going to have that thing singing. But we're going to get more into talking about it. Before we go on, I want Carolyn to tell a little bit about the play and then your characters. And then I found out on the break that Lisa plays one of the characters
She
in the play. So she'll
does.
discuss her role in the play. And then when we come back from the break, we'll have Poetic in, and I believe he has a role in the play as well.
He does.
So, Carolyn, tell us a little bit about the play and how you chose the characters.
Women shop talk while real men wait. I was the beauty shop gossip in Colorado Springs. I was the woman that owned this beautiful beauty shop, and I was the gossip. I was the one that they talked about. I was the one that had the Jag, the BMW, the big house on the corner, and her husband is abusing her. That was deep. So the characters came from all of that. And everything in the play is real. It's a real life story, my life story. The characters in it, the oldest sister is a virtuous woman of God. She's in love with the pastor, but she's upset with him because she thinks he slept with her best friend. FDS Felicia, feminine deodorant spray. I love it. The other sister is Burgundy. Burgundy owns the beauty shop. Burgundy's husband, Clayton, is abusing her. He's abusing her baby sister, Essence. He has Essence stripping. She's hooked on drugs, and she's suicidal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The other sister is Destiny. Destiny has left the churches to sing in the clubs because she thinks she's destined to be a star. Poetic is actually the boyfriend of Destiny.
Okay.
She has jungle fever. Upset with that. Yeah. She's only dated white guys because in high school a black guy knocked out her fake Afro puff, and she's been hating on black boys ever since. And she finds herself falling in love with a black guy named Daniel. So all of it is very significant and real. All the actions in the play are very, very real. The actors are awesome. And it's got a significant message in there for every single sister that there's life after abuse.
Now, I can tell you, I did get an opportunity to meet with the cast, and we had our powwow session, and let me tell you something.
Boy.
That was something I really wasn't expecting. We weren't expecting that type of session, but when I tell you that I understand, I get it, and how each character can relate to who they're playing.
Yes.
Oh, it was deep. And I was like, yo, this right here has to be brought out.
Right.
So and guys, I'm telling you, we're going to tell you at the end of the show how you can go get your tickets and how you could come and watch this. You don't want to miss this production.
Boy.
I'm telling you, when I sat there and I watched and I talked to the cast, it's pretty deep. So,
It is.
Lisa, tell us about your character.
Yes, I play the oldest sister, Rain. And the character of Rain has so much deep significance to me, to who I am myself. You know, and I'm thankful to Miss Carolyn, you know, for her discerning spirit, for even seeing that in me. And it's funny because I actually came there with Burgundy, who is actually my real sister, blood, and had no idea of Miss Carolyn even bringing me in to be a part, and for her to know, to see me within. Rain is a gospel singer. She is, I give all praise and glory to God on a daily. And through this play, she is so much of a healer for everyone else and a close off to herself, which is truly what I have done over the course. And just here recently have gotten to where my husband has pulled me away from focusing so much on everyone and not myself, and letting myself go. So this play actually helps through a healing of where I was, and also to give a healing to not just to my sisters, but to me as well.
Right.
So it's deep in itself, and I don't want to give away too much of and who she truly is. But rest and assured, she has a passion and a love for everyone.
Right. And guys, like I said, when I got to meet with the whole cast and we sat down and talked about it, there's a message out there for everybody to have. And I have not forgotten, I am going to give you the safety plan and safety tips, but I thought it was very important for our women to hear what this young lady, Carolyn, has went through, and she decided to share it to you in the form of a play.
Yes.
So you guys stay tuned. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Calendars knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's. It's time to say.
Vince Lombardi once said that it's hard to be aggressive when you're confused. Some of us think that taking our lives to the next level, both personally and professionally, is a confusing and complicated process. Guess what? It's not, and I can prove it. My book, Truisms, will show you how living your life by rules that are so self-evident and obvious, you'll say, I knew that. This powerful yet short, detailed bestseller is on sale right now, under $10. Go to michaelmcfadden.com. That's michaelmcfadden.com. And let Truisms help you to the next level.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Our freedom and security are made possible through the service and sacrifice of our military and first responders. The Gary Sinise Foundation provides many outreach programs supporting these brave men and women. Join us. Donate at GarySiniseFoundation.org.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. This is the part of the show that we say happy birthday to all our babies. So right now, I want to give a shout out to Poetic because I found out today is his birthday. Happy birthday to you, young man. And to Lisa Baptiste, who just left, her birthday as well. But I also want to give a shout out to Alicia Jordan, Nina Shabazz, Pamela Brown, Mark Goodman, Boris Jackson, John Jackson, Hector B., Daniel M., and Colin Downer. Happy birthday to everybody out there that's celebrating a birthday. If we didn't call your name out, we still want to wish you a happy birthday.
You use Tearless baby shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, along with my co-host, John Reed. We have been talking about domestic violence. We have some awesome guests in the house, Carolyn Moore and Poetic. We're talking about the play. I'm going to try this again. You ready? Women shop talk while real men wait. The play is about her life. She decided to take such a tragic situation and turn it into a screenplay to talk to and educate people throughout. Now, I understand, Carolyn, this play has been around.
Yeah.
It's made some travels.
Yes.
It made some
22
stuff.
shows, sold out 16 of them, and I have made a difference in people's lives. Over 500 reviews are on the site.
Oh, excellent.
I think that is totally awesome. And not just the play, but you have some other things that you do to help victims. You want to tell that out? out, please?
Yeah. I'm actually a CASA worker in Coweta County. A CASA worker is a sworn advocate for children. I am a volunteer advocate at Promise Place Domestic Violence Shelter. I have a food pantry, which I have a whole car full of food out there right now. I pick up every week from the food bank.
Okay.
Distribute food out and take food to the food pantry out at Promise Place Domestic Violence Shelter.
Okay.
We offer all kind of help that we can give you with counseling, helping you with TPO orders, advocate in court for you, helping you to get a fresh start on life. You know, counseling, job training. Recruiting, anything that you need to give you a fresh start, a safe place of refuge.
Now explain what TPO is.
Temporary protective order.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure our listeners knew out there, because a lot of people, you know, because sometimes you know the acronyms.
I was gonna say, they know.
But you know, I just want to make sure, because you never know it. Maybe somebody out there listening that don't know.
Do you know what I didn't know about? And back in my day, when you called on domestic violence, the police would come, you know, just leave and they can come back. When Obama came in office, if it's that bad of a domestic violence issue, you can change your identity. Social Security number and everything with a fresh new start.
They started doing it. I think after there was I remember this law being passed, because I think it was something where a young lady was killed at the court or something that sparked it, and that they were saying, hey, we need to start protecting this. And we were talking about that off the air, where in New Jersey, the gentleman came out of court and beat his wife down right there in the parking lot. And I understand you experienced that.
I did. We were in court, and I was getting my legal separation. And the judge is saying, okay, you know, you'll pay her $300 a month for 3 kids. And I said, Your Honor, he's not telling the truth. This guy has 5 Social Security numbers. He has 3 tax ID numbers, and he makes $40,000 a year. And I showed the proof. And the judge says, is that true? And his attorney's like, is that true? He's like, well, so because it was true and I proved it, when I got down the elevator, he met me at the elevator. I ran to my car. He took my car and pushed me up against the car, and he started beating me up in front of my car.
Wow.
Yeah.
At the courthouse.
At the courthouse.
See, this is why I tell you, these guys have no fear.
None.
You know, he at the police station, like, they either going to have to shoot me to get me up off of here.
Isn't that something?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Suicide by cops. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about creating your personalized safety plan.
Yes.
And I got this from the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. The first thing they said is, when I have to talk to the abuser, I can. Now, in that spot where it says I can, you need to put down what you could do to kind of diffuse the situation. So we were saying, talking a calm voice, divert the attention away from whatever that person is angry about. Change it. Change it up.
Watch your body language.
Watch your body language, how you're approaching, how you're sitting, how you're looking. But in the same token, getting yourself a safe distance or in a safe situation. Okay? That's what you want to do. When you talk on the phone with the abuser, you want to make sure you do those same things. Because sometimes, you know, I always, there are stuff that you can send messages or stuff on text message or whatever, and it comes across one way and you may mean it another way. So you have to be real careful of that. You can make up a code word for your family, co-workers or friends, and a counselor, so they know when to call for help for you. So teach your kids the code word.
That's excellent.
In a type of conversation where it's not so obvious. You don't want to be in there and he's telling you that you got cookies or something like that. You want to make sure it's something that's smooth enough that your kids understand it, and people that hear it, that are familiar with you will know to call to send help. You want to, if you feel a fight coming on, you will try to move to a place with lowest risk of getting hurt. So that means get away from the kitchen where the knives and everything are. Don't get yourself trapped up in a bedroom. Make sure you're in a spot where you have the opportunity to run or get yourself in a safe spot.
Or with that, be in a public place or get to a public place. Because sometimes it might happen in the car, a heated argument. Get out and be amongst the people. Now, sometimes, you know, in this world we live in today, don't mean anything, but, you know, that's also, I think, is a point.
Yeah, and they were also saying if you're at work and you have that, you know you're in a situation like that, guys, you need to inform your supervisor. Okay, I want you to understand what I said. your supervisor. That's not Susie next in the cubicle next to you. That's not Bob down in the other row.
That's right.
That's not whoever you talking to. That you don't go in the break rooms that I'm going. No. You make sure that they can alert security.
That's right.
For wherever you're working to know and supply them with a picture.
That's right.
Let them know. We did that for our friend at Walt Disney World, and the great thing about that was you can't get on Walt Disney World property unless you have an ID and you're a cast member there. You're working there, but security was on it. So he knew he couldn't come there and act a fool and couldn't come through the park because they were on it. Right. So you want to make sure you make yourself safety with that. You also want to alert your school, your kids' school.
Yes.
You can't go to the school to the lady at the front desk.
That's right.
To the teacher.
That's
you need
right.
to go to the principal, the administrator of that school, and go armed with information. And what I mean by that is photo, police report, or something that you have filed to show that you have a protective order or whatever for you and your kids.
That's right.
Okay, don't just go up there just saying, hey, he smacked me today and I want to put y'all on notice. No. They need that proof. Right. You also want to make sure you screen your calls, texts, emails, and visitors. It says, I have the right to not receive harassing phone calls, texts, or emails. But in the same token, when you get that stuff, save it. Put it somewhere that it's safe. Now, I know what my friend did was she told us where she hid everything at. So when everything went down, we were able to give that information to the police. Awesome. When we come back, I'm going to give you the rest of the tips and pointers on this, but I don't want you to go anywhere because this stuff is serious. I want you to know this is not just for our ladies, but it's for our men and our families as well. We need to put this stuff in place, and we need to talk about it and stop this silence.
That's right.
Text us with your shout-outs and requests to 678-135-8557. Radio, knock them down.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch, or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie, but Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special, sit down, and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. If you're just joining us, we are talking about domestic violence. We're giving safety tips on how to protect yourself. We're talking to Carolyn Moore and Poetic about their play, and then we're going to give you some information about a workshop that's coming up. So don't go anywhere. Just stay tuned, and we're going to have more information for you.
Green light. Hey girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah. Street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me. Whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American...
Your host, Cherry G. We have been talking about domestic violence. We have our guest here, Carolyn Moore and Poetic. Carolyn wrote a screenplay about her life and what she endured as domestic violence. And before the break, we were giving you safety plan tips. I'm going to give you the final tips that they have on the sheet, and then we're going to tell you where you can watch the play and how you can win tickets to get to the play. And in order to answer the questions, you're going to have to reach back out to our show, and I'll tell you how to do that. But the rest of the tips are that if you are also feel like you're in danger, you need to have the numbers around for emergency contact in a safe place. That means for the police, your person that you're trying to reach, or that one person that knows your situation. It could be a clergyman, it could be a coworker, it could be someone that you trust that's not going to, as you want to attend a survivors group. Find a survivors group that you can attend and be a part of. And like I said, make sure you stay off social media, especially if you're trying to be a part of your safety. And when we come back, we're going to give you where you can find tickets, where you can get tickets, how you can win them, and then about our workshop. Stay tuned. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Everybody successful lays a blueprint out. You laid the blueprint out. I stayed true to my dreams, and by doing that, eventually it came true.
A lot of times, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and a funky relationship here, and all these things. You try and just kind of balance them out as best I can.
Make a choice, right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
Unleash your beast. Write your history.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We could share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We have had an awesome show today talking about domestic violence, the stage play. Y'all ready? I'm about to do it. Women, shop talk, while real men wait. See, I was ready for it. I told y'all by the end of the show I was going to have this.
Exactly.
So we're going to tell you how to buy tickets for the play and how you can win tickets for the play. All right.
Well, you can go to eventbrite.com, type in Women Shop Talk While Real Men Wait. You have a choice of tickets. There's an early bird right now for $22.
Yep.
Regular ticket price is $26. VIP tickets are $36. Red carpet, food, interviews, pictures with the cast, and preferred seating.
That's awesome. So, our contest for people who want to win tickets.
Answer some questions, and we got some free tickets.
The question is, we gave some tips on how to create a safety plan.
Correct.
You have to give us 5 of those tips that we reached out and we said on there. The person that does that, you have to do it through Destiny Talk Live Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page, and on the post, you need to put in, here are the answers for my ticket. And the first person that does that, we will get
tickets, free
tickets to the play.
Yes.
And when is the play?
The play is Saturday, March the 10th, 3:30 show and 7:30 show.
And where at?
It is at Oasis Montage Performing Arts Center, which is inside the Gospel Community Church at 383 Fayette Place, Fayetteville, Georgia.
You guys, you don't want to miss the play. So, John, we also have some stuff that we were talking about. I want to get this stuff out because I'm going to also come back and give you the National Domestic Violence Hotline as well as the National Dating Abuse Hotline.
Ooh.
So talk about
workshop.
The workshop that's coming up.
So Cherry and I have a small business and entrepreneur workshop.
Awesome.
Sponsored by BB&T, Sensation Station Network, and also ADP. So what we're doing is we're teaching people, and it's called Power Up. So we're teaching small businesses, small business entrepreneurs, startup businesses, established businesses, tips to be financially successful. So we're going to have speakers talking to small businesses about being in the public sector, business banking, business loan, business and personal credit. And Cherry and I will be moderating this, and we'll have lunch there. We'll also have interviews where we allow each one of these small businesses to shout out their particular firms. So it's going to be really exciting. And this is going to be February the 21st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Queen Building, which is 5 Concourse Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30328. And if you go to Destiny Talk Live's page or Allen Reed Enterprises page, you'll see the Eventbrite logo, the link.
It says Power Up, and you also could go to Eventbrite and find Power Up, and you'll see it for both. And guys, what it really is, we want to make sure that we let everybody know that we're trying to help you reach your destiny and be full at what you do. Even with coming here, and I will be upset with myself if I didn't ask you to tell them about your magazine. This woman does everything, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. Give them a little shot about your magazine.
Shout out to the magazine, Oasis Montage Magazine, the magazine that takes you on a journey into fashion, arts, entertainment, health, beauty, fitness, gospel, and your testimony.
You know what? That's deep because, like I said, I love the fact that she took something so intimate and made it public to let people know, hey, no longer am I going to be silent. No longer am I going to live in silence. And no longer am I going to accept the nonsense that's coming around.
That's right.
So before I give out these hotline numbers, I'm going to go through each one of us. And I want you guys to tell me what you want to leave with the listeners. Give again your name and then why you're here. And then leave a tip for our listeners. We'll start with you, Poetic.
All right. Poetic. That's Poetic.
The rapper.
Artist. Yeah. What I really want to leave with you guys is that, one, not all men abuse women.
Great.
And children. I had to give you a moment of silence because everybody doesn't believe that. Not all men abuse women or children.
I believe that.
Yep.
And two is that we do want to fight for an environment that inhabits that exhibits that.
So taking back our families.
Yes. So going through these tips is very, very important. I said something off air that, about the tips, my personal opinion of it, but I know that it's very necessary and that we need to make sure that we help navigate through these hard times so that we can get to the victory.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost like wishing for heaven, but here.
Exactly. I really appreciate that. Miss Carolyn, what would you like to leave our listeners for today?
That it's very important for you to tap into why God created you. Everybody has a purpose. And when we don't know who that is and who we are, we allow people to destroy the temple that God created. It's very important to know that if I can have a life, you can have a life after the abuse. He didn't make a mistake. So the significance of this play, I need you to understand that. When Tyler Perry inspired me to write this production, it wasn't just to write a play. It was to inspire you and to understand and empower you to never give up.
Right.
What's
That's
the
key.
biggest prestige, though, Miss Carol? You always leave this part out.
What?
She's been married happily for 28 years.
Praise God.
For the man who waited. And I want to give that out. I'm serious. He's the key to that part, so I got to give a shout out to that. He was the real man
that waited.
I'm not going to tell you the story because I want you to go see the play. So I wasn't going to put it out there, but yes. So like I said, when I said the life, that's what I mean. And
oh my
honey,
gosh.
that story in itself is powerful.
It is
powerful.
It is powerful.
John, what would you leave the listeners?
To create healthy relationships.
Yes.
So domestic violence and domestic abuse, you have to leave those situations, and then the next situation, make sure it's a healthy relationship.
Yes.
Create an environment where it's back and forth talking calmly, taking a deep breath, removing yourself when you start to feel heated up.
That's right.
Right? Create a healthy relationship to get out of these domestic violence situations.
That's right.
And if you have a problem, get some help.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Ask, go to counseling, like you said, go to therapy, don't be afraid.
That's right.
So I want to give you the National Domestic Violence Hotline number. It's 1-800-799-7233. And for the National Dating Abuse Hotline, it's 1-866-331-9474. What I want to leave to the listeners today, I want to again say thank you very much for tuning in and paying attention to what we have to say every Thursday and sharing it with you. And I want to know that in order for you to be able to reach your destiny, you got to heal from within. In order to know love, you got to love you. So if you're looking for somewhere to get to a different place in life, start at home. Start with yourself.
Yes.
You are listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Yay.